As they say in hockey, let's do that hockey.
Play a full 60 minutes.
Yeah, I'm just trying to keep it simple.
Get pucks deep, bring the puck deep, put pucks in deep.
We got to keep it simple and just get pucks going forward.
Getting into the forecheck.
We got to keep playing aggressive.
Trying to take away their time and space.
We're focused on tonight. We just got to stick to our game.
Our pleasure now to welcome on assistant coach with St. Thomas, Leon Hayward. Coach, welcome aboard the Fifth Liners Hockey Podcast here. You're well above a fifth liner, but we appreciate your time coming on and joining us.
Yeah, no problem. Depends on what league and what time of year. I would definitely spend some time on the fifth line, so feels good.
It's an exciting time around St. Thomas right now, and your team making the jump to D1 a few years ago back in 2021, but now becoming tournament eligible here as of the last couple months. But I want to go back to those first couple of years. You've been around this program pretty much since the start, and thinking about those years where you didn't have tournament eligibility, how do you stay competitive over that time? You've been among the top teams in the nation, especially last year, very competitive as a program. How do you keep those guys engaged throughout the season, and what's your approach from the coaching side going through that?
Yeah, it was definitely tough because obviously when you're talking with certainly transfers in that part of the process, they're looking to get into the tournament or be on a team that has the chance or has the talent level to do that. And we really looked at it as, we're recruiting kids that want a chance to build something, and we lucked out. We had some really good kids come in through that process, and we focused more on the build, the process, and the bigger picture for these guys. And we were lucky to get some really good players to come through, both as freshmen, certainly, and as transfers. But I'm really excited for our guys that were in that first recruiting class. We actually had 12 players in our first recruiting class. So after our first season, those players are now seniors, and we have 8 of them left on campus. And I'm excited for them that they get the opportunity to compete for it. And there's going to be a lot of work. It's a wild and crazy year for that in college hockey in terms of everybody got better. And I don't know who's going to be great or who's not going to be great. So it's an exciting year, but I'm really excited for that class specifically to have an opportunity to at least compete for it.
And it's an exciting time for that class especially, but it was probably just as exciting in that first year. You talk about that first class. What are some things that you had to do building a program pretty much from the ground up, and that transition from D3 to D1, which we've seen quite a few teams start to make, quite a few programs making that jump. And then now it's going to be similar as the talks of those Southeast SEC, ACC schools maybe going ACC or ACHA, up to D1. What are some things that your staff had to do kind of building that up to where you guys have now become?
Yeah, it was an interesting process. Coach Blasi, our head coach, got the job in April, and I think I jumped in July. So we went to work with some transfers, and Coach kept, and the school wanted us to keep a good number of the kids that had come through and played Division III. So we had about 15 Division III players that made the jump directly from one season to the next. But the biggest thing was, talking about obviously the value of the school, what that meant. We were lucky to have a lot of local student athletes from the area. We certainly are really blessed to be in an area where there's no shortage of excellent hockey players at every level. And so we got some kids to come home and drive and play. And it was a fun year, a lot of figuring things out, a lot of understanding of how good our league is and how good the CCHA was, and nobody took it easy on us that year. I think we had 3 wins or 4 wins that season, but it was a great experience from a coaching perspective, because I think it was just kind of true coaching and helping guys get better, and then really focusing on the bigger picture and what was, to happen in the future. And 5 short years later, here we are. I think with a pretty good program, a really good talent base. We've had some great wins and some great players come through the program. So we're definitely forever grateful for those guys that came through the first year, that were with us and really kind of laid the foundation that was, based upon a really good Division III program. But they really laid the foundation for what we needed to do and where we needed to go. And it was a great year.
You've been in the CCHA, now making the jump to the NCHC, and this also being the first year that you're tournament eligible. Coming up here in the upcoming 25-26 season, what does that jump mean? The now tournament eligibility, what will that mean for St. Thomas as a program?
Yeah, so we have one more year in the CCHA this year, but we have the potential jump to the NCAA tournament if we earn it. But it was really, what I would say is, I think from one perspective, the change in leagues presents different challenges. Every league has their own challenges in terms of of the opportunities, and each league is, I think, dialed into certain things. But it's an exciting opportunity. We are super focused on this year and the challenges that we have, and we have real challenges within the CCHA. Some teams did a lot of really good work this year. And like I said, just the opportunity to earn a berth into the NCAA tournament and to be able to do that, if we, again, like I said, if we earn it, is really, really exciting. And then we'll kind of dial things really into the NCHC a year from now. But we've created some great rivalries within the CCHA, both locally and then teams that are a little bit further away, and it's a really exciting time and year for us.
You talked about some challenges this year. You open up your season with no DAC, right? Home and home with them, and then opening night at Lee and Penny Anderson Arena, and both your men's team and the women's team bring in Providence College to usher that in. What's it been like from conception of the arena to the completion, and now the anticipation of christening?
We didn't know how quick the rink was going to come. There was no guarantee that when we got here, hey, we're going to have a rink done in 5 seasons. Like it's kind of wild to me when I step back sometimes. So, a lot of times you can get caught up in the coaching, the recruiting, and all that stuff, and the games. And then you step back and you think of all the amazing things that have happened. And what I would say to our administration's credit is they've done everything that they said they're going to do and supported us in tremendous ways. And you can't move and you can't climb standings if you don't have administrative support. So we feel really strongly about that. But it's been great. And we've said from the beginning, and Rico said from the beginning, we want to play the best teams. We want to compete against the best. So we actually open up with St. Cloud. So we have St. Cloud, then North Dakota, and then, like you said, open up the building with Providence, who's got has a really strong team as well too. So that's what we want to do. We know that that's going to be our reality in a year or two in terms of. From my time in the NCHC before, it's like getting dunked in a pool, by your big brother, and you survive, and then the next weekend you get dunked again. So it's a really exciting time, but just all the transition in a good way. Sometimes change and transition is tough for us. It's always been something really positive for the program each year, and it's really exciting. The new building is state of the art. It's beautiful. Not a bad seat in the house. And, we're so excited for our players and really for our school and our fans to get a chance to get in there.
You just talked about taking the next step and building off of the recruiting, that beautiful new building with state of the art stuff. How does that factor into recruiting?
Well, I mean, there are a lot of great buildings in college hockey, as we all know. And I think, us getting a chance to our athletic director was actually at Penn State when they built Pagula. and the guys running the facility, we're at Wisconsin. Coach Blasi was at Miami when they built their building there. So there's a lot of knowledge that went into the planning of this building, and it's just a really, it's funny to say, but I'm like, oh, it's just a thoughtful building. Like it's really well done. I think from the player perspective, it's great. Has everything that you need to compete at a high level, at the highest level. And then from a fan school experience, it's right on campus. It's a sand wedge from to our engineering building to our other classrooms. It's just really well thought out. And I think from a recruiting perspective, you don't want that to be a hurdle when a prospective student athlete comes to visit your campus. And now that is no longer a hurdle. It's a strength for us.
Nope. Casey, I think we lost your audio.
I think you're on mute, Casey.
Sorry about that. Thank you.
All good.
Being in the state of hockey in Minnesota, how do you manage recruiting between homegrown talent and having to look elsewhere? And then also when you've got that homegrown talent, you're competing against schools like the University of Minnesota trying to get those same players.
Yeah, it's recruiting is a battle wherever you're at, whatever school you're at. Again, the beauty for us is that we get to watch excellent high school hockey on a weekly basis in the winter, and see some really good players that go through, and frankly, some of the best players in the country. So for us, we want to recruit Minnesota, obviously extremely hard, but as a school that is growing and has a national scope, international scope, we want to pay attention to that. And again, part of the new building and all those pieces, again, you can now attract a student athlete from further away, and we kind of say, oh, by the way, we're 6 minutes from the airport too. So when you fly in, you're right here. You're in one of the, top, largest cities in the country, and in the Twin Cities. So it's a really good opportunity in terms of kids from further away, but certainly we want to compete and keep the talent that's here at our school. And so that poses, obviously great challenges in terms of schools that have a long history of, recruiting and doing a good job in hockey history. And we go up against that, but we talk to kids about creating legacy, all the things that we do at St. Thomas, it's a first. And so that appeals to a lot of really motivated, high-level players that they want to build a legacy and do something unique that others haven't.
You talk about far away, and now the CHL is a big piece of NCAA hockey. That new rules change where the CHL players are allowed to come in. How does that change your recruiting approach? I know you got a couple of guys come in that have CHL experience, and then looking forward, maybe having recruits that you're talking to at younger ages look at playing there to gain experience and using almost the CHL as a developmental league for the NCAA.
Yeah, it's just a new path. I actually grew up in Seattle, Washington, so I worked for the Seattle Thunderbirds growing up, and I'm a huge fan of the Western League. It's all I knew, honestly, before I knew college hockey. But it's a new place for us to recruit. Ultimately, at the end of the day, we've said, we have to build a great team, and however that happens, we're going to do that. Whatever league we get kids from, we'll do that. So I think there's real value in all the different junior leagues. You just have to know what you're looking for. It will be really interesting this year to see how things play out. A lot of times you could have a pretty good feel of what a junior player would trend towards at the college level. Now that's a little bit thrown off with kids coming in from some different leagues now. So that'll be something to be aware of and keep an eye on this year, as it goes. But for us, it's just an opportunity for kids to go and play. Our local Minnesota kids that are committed to us, have the opportunity to go to the USHL, which is close by, or they can head up to the Western League where their rights are held, and we really leave that up to them in terms of their decision-making process to what's going to best prepare them to when they come into St. Thomas.
There's been talks, mostly because of the snafu at SNHU Arena with the soft ice and the goals coming off of their moorings, about the potential for playoff hockey to shift to the top seeds. When you see and hear things like that, what does that bring to mind for you with regards to the sport?
I mean, I think if we could figure it out, it'd be great to reward the teams that had great seasons. It makes the regular season all that much more important than it already is right now. Obviously, in college hockey, every game is immensely important. But I think it would provide unbelievable atmosphere. I know there are hurdles in terms of TV and contracts and how that all works out, but I think ultimately, from a showcasing of our sport nationally, internationally, it's a home run because there are some amazing, as you guys know, in every league, amazing venues, environments, unforgettable experiences that student athletes can have just based on the environment that they're playing in. And I would love to see that in the NCAA tournament, just my own opinion.
Last one for you, Coach, as we close it up here. You talked about the first 5 years. Now thinking towards the future here, in the next 5 years, what benchmarks are you hoping to hit? What are some goals for the program that you see coming up 5 years down the line?
Yeah, great question. We're really process oriented, so we feel like if we follow our process in terms of recruiting, developing, how we practice on a daily basis, that the end results will take care of themselves. But there are programs in this country that when kids walk into the locker room, there's an expectation that we're getting home ice for the playoffs, that we're making the NCAA tournament. That's just kind of a given for them. And we want to be a program that becomes a staple. So our kids that are juniors this year, their first year, they finished second in the CCHA. Last year, they lost in the championship game. So their expectation level of how we're going to perform and the level of expectation that we have towards the future, that's what we're looking for, more than just saying, hey, we want to win a national championship. Of course we want to win a national championship, but I think that expectation and that belief, and everybody who comes into your program has that's really the gold nugget that you're looking for in terms of building a program. And we want to be one of those places where our expectations are extremely high for all of us, for the players, for the staff, for the school. And that's really, what we're looking for in the next 5 years, is that every student that comes in here feels that they have a chance to win and win at an extremely high level. And I think that's what, success is going to look like for us, is that there's belief from day one. It's not like, hey, we got a pretty good team this year, let's get after it. It's like every year we have players, or whoever the players are, we find a way to get home ice in the playoffs, to get a chance to compete for a championship within the league. And then from there, you have a chance in the NCAA tournament. And NCAA tournament's 4 games. It's not a 7-game series. And so once you get in there and you have a 4-game shot, it's anyone's game. So that's really what we're looking for over the next, 5 years, is that every student athlete comes in to our school, in our building, in our locker room, believing that they have what it takes to win championships.
Well, Coach, we can't wait to watch that championship effort kind of take place here in the new arena, all the excitement around your program. We're excited for you. Looking forward to following along. Thank you so much for taking some time joining us here on the Fifth Liners podcast.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.